You guys have been so patient, so I think today is the day we do Nicki Minaj's style evolution. This of course will have to be broken up into parts, so this part 1 is only going to be years 2007 to 2012. With that said, let's get into the queen. I think it's important to start with Nicki's mixtape days because we get a good sense of what she thought of her own image. Playtime is Over, Sucker Free, Beating Up Scotty. During this time, her image very much matched her music. It was very much round the way Queens, New York girl. If you were listening to her music during this era, it was very evident that she wanted to build upon her craft and not so much focus on what she was wearing or what she looked like. I just had to include this image to give the iconic Barbie chain its moment. Of course, during this time, there weren't a lot of female rappers out, so Nicki was still different. She was still animated. She was still looked at as very eccentric for her style, but that was just her being her creative self. And to be honest, most of the time, she was just looking fly and people thought she was doing too much. In 2010, she did this iconic editorial with Vibe magazine. And this is also where she first met her stylist, Nikki Schwann, who she would work with for the next couple of years. I think this is still one of her best editorials to this day. Moving on to Nikki Schwann as her stylist is when she started to be dressed in more designer. Fashion girl Nicki really started to be born, like here in Manish Aurora at the 2010 AMAs. I think she also quickly noticed that fashion could be another realm where she could express her creativity, like here in the Blondes. And so her performance outfits began to step it up a notch. Here in Marco Marco and Chanel, it was clear that Nicki was not playing games when it came to being an all-around performer and creative. But as she kept pushing boundaries as fashion, like here in Gareth Pugh, the media began to criticize her and even discredit her work. The more she played with fashion, it was like the more people questioned her motives as an artist, which really didn't make any sense because her career was on a trajectory like no other and her talent matched. By the way, this Oscar de la Renta dress, beautiful. This Givenchy custom look is a work of art. But I don't know if you guys remember, but she was mocked and belittled for this look. And this mocking happened with a lot of her looks. At the same time where a lot of artists on her level were being intellectualized for their looks, or at the very least being praised for their originality. Nicki's looks were either taken out of context to look crazy, or her references were completely ignored in order to paint a narrative of her being this nonsensical attention seeker. As a Black woman in hip-hop, I wonder what Nicki's career would have amassed to if she had been allowed to just express her creativity in every which way it went. As a creative person, the ability to create without bounds and without being criticized is very important to your development. But Nicki received so much hate that she ended up getting rid of her stylists and changing her style entirely. We'll talk about her next era in part 2.